To look at the coast is to recognize that the boundary between sea and land is transitory, and that all life on Earth is just a cosmic accident. This trawler, operated by Roger Cantrell, recently broke the state record for number of revocable commercial fishing offenses. Operated by Roger Cantrell, recently broke the state record for number of revocable commercial fishing offenses. The likelihood of catastrophic risk scenarios wasn't really considered when developers built a golf course in a flood zone. After the end of the tiki craze, bar owners toss their Polynesian-inspired decor into the Gulf, where their kitschy charm is completely lost on native marine life. Pulling off a successful casino heist is made even harder when you drive off the road into the ocean and drown. Anyone who has delved into the stomach contents of a shark is acutely aware that they'll eat just about anything. Sometimes even sharks just need to dirty bulk. Blah, blah, blah. Late-stage capitalism. Sound travels 4.5 times faster in water, a fact beneficial to both hunter and prey. Clovis considered removing these naval mines after the war, but the city had already spent its annual budget booking a Nickelback cover band for the 4th of July. Caviar Keep features Painted Sails, a luxury 5-star resort built over the remains of Tunamacha, a pre-Columbian city that was once host to the most advanced civilization in ancient America. Bull sharks have a habit of gobbling up anything that finds its way into the water. Local resorts have responded to sea level rise by importing 285,000 tons of sand and counting. Every summer, Port Clovis plays host to the Megasonic Electro Carnival, giving a real boost to the local MDMA industry. Really a gourmand, the bull shark will eat just about anything. In Hawaiian, mahi-mahi means strong, strong, and our mahi-mahi certainly hasn't lived up to its name. Protein caches like this one are a convenient and tasty way for sharks to increase their protein intake. Commercial tourism in the U.S. continues to grow, leaving millions of naive Americans vulnerable to the graft of beach umbrella renters. Over the course of a bull shark's life, it will ingest quite a broad assortment of flotsam and jetsam. Hunger is a driving force for the bull shark. Shockingly, this was only Alex's second worst birthday. If you're like me, you're probably wondering what their secret is for such durable papier-mâché. Recently, Port Clovis has gained a reputation for its derivative, politically confused street art. As one can see, routine, micro practices of risk management haven't really been effective in cleaning up this area. To see this area is to witness the inability of the hydrosphere to support the growth of humanized landscapes along the Gulf. For more than 3/4 of geologic time, the land was uninhabited, without a single destination spa anywhere to be seen. ancient Greeks believed that King Poseidon ruled the waters, whereas here at Prosperity Sands, they're ruled by Luxury Leisure Groups International. The predatory scavenger is often quite content to dine on whatever wastes fall to the ocean floor. While they appreciate human sacrifices, the eldritch gods of yore are seldom enthused about being summoned to Port Clovis. is a very real risk of drowning while surfing, but at least you'll leave behind a cool-looking skeleton. The marine hunter wisely makes a sustainable seafood choice. The water along Caviar Key is frequently described as gin clear. Which reminds me, I could go for another Singapore sling. The great white is one of nature's deadliest weapons. $500 million years of terrestrial evolution reaches its apex with Prosperity Sand's spacious floating ocean voyage. The accelerating destruction of the Gulf has occurred in tandem with a wholly humanized view of progress and development. Beach erosion can be harmful for ecosystems by changing habitat conditions for such local fauna as seals, sea turtles, birds. This instantized protein makes a great between-meal supplement, giving the shark the energy she needs to put on serious mass. Each year, North American offshore drilling rigs leak about 880,000 gallons of oil into the sea, leaving it for marine wildlife who know nothing about running a profitable energy company. Random mutations aren't random. They require large amounts of mutagens as a catalyst. Prosperity Sands reminds us that sometimes the construction of second and third homes supersedes considerations like loss of species diversity. The bull shark is able to attain larger maximal sizes through selective feeding. The appetite of this shark is nearly insatiable. While fostering a balanced ecosystem is a complex and multifaceted process, what harm could arise from killing a bunch of seals?
Since 129 days, Prosperity Sands ain't had no shark attacks. You can thank OP for that. Prosperity Sands sure ain't.
trimaran, like many before it, was lost in its journey to the mythological dry land. When shark season ends, hunters return to their normal routine of bouncing checks at liquor stores.
Let's put down this shark, huh?
Prosperity Sands ain't had no shark attacks. You can thank OP for that. Prosperity Sands sure ain't.
The corn-fed Colossus, Butcher Boy Brady. The situation has escalated, and the price on the shark's head has risen. It's vital that we extract an absolute maximum of resources before we cross Earth's apocalyptic threshold. The air out here has a distinctive smell, that of sea salts, nitrogen oxides, and an intriguing bouquet of volatile organic compounds. Sure, it would be more practical simply to close the beaches. But why do that when you can just set loose a gang of amphetamine-fueled locals with guns? As is the trend in other coastal towns, long stretches of Port Clovis's shoreline are now the exclusive domain of the wealthy. This shark is a sort of super scavenger, completely lacking in what may be called dietary discrimination. seems Port Clovis has forgotten all about its rogue shark. For now. Shark Hunter is the only thing keeping tourists from a nasty, horrible death, outside of just avoiding the beach for a few hours.
Disappearing act, huh? It's catching me. I know it.
Here I do. Nowhere else in town got that mango butter facial scrub I like.
Shark hunt draws to a close. Port Clovis locals seldom miss an opportunity to indulge in mindless, gratuitous slaughter.
Don't know nothing about no raves. When you throwing a fatal door on the beach at night, you just asking to get bit. Folk out there boated painted sails. But, you know, so do a lot of other New York couillons.
Coastal erosion currently impacts over 70% of the globe's sandy beach environments.
That was a good, honest effort. Now we're strong.
The hunt is over, and there will be an inevitable rush on dollar drafts at Flamingo Joe's. Yes, it's quite beautiful here. Unfortunately, bull sharks can't see color.
I like this beach here, me. Got a lot of nice-looking, wealthy women. Yeah, there's a court order says I can't be within 200 feet of the beach. But you can see a lot with a good set of binoculars.
There would have been more protests surrounding Prosperity Sands were not the public already so numbed about ecological concerns in general. Being chased by a shark, it's always best to escape to a respectful distance. The Emperor of the Deep, the Great White. Our shark hunters will not give up on finding their prey, at least until things quiet down or they run out of hard lemonade.
Bounty time, everybody!
This beach here, me. Got a lot of nice-looking, wealthy women. There's a court order says I can't be within 200 feet of the beach. But you can see a lot with a set of binoculars.
Shark, get your ass out here. Hell, I don't know.
The battle is over, but the war goes on. The Great White is often referred to as the King of the Ocean, which gives it a skewed understanding of the role of a monarch in modern society. There would have been more protests surrounding Prosperity Sands were not the public already so numbed about ecological concerns in general.
Pete, what's in the barrels?
Fish food.
Pete, whatever this is, can I ask you not to do it?
Gonna get that shark. One way or another.
It's just that this is unnecessarily destructive. I mean, it's just one shark. There's a whole ecosystem.
One shark that killed my boy.
Pete, look, I understand.
Wanna keep tugging on this knot, you?
The underwater world is a fantasia, bustling with color and activity. Shark is a sort of super scavenger, completely lacking in what may be called dietary discrimination. A great way to discourage museum attendance is to put your museum underwater. The appetite of this shark is nearly insatiable. The grotto provides a brief respite from the Sturm und Drang of the Gulf. Clovis has long been a popular dumping ground for the military, thanks to its lenient regulations and low tipping fees. Supercharged with gene-altering mutagens, the shark now has an asymmetric edge on the competition. No one knows who built this mysterious underwater base, but odds are they probably own a Nehru jacket and a Persian cat. From the moment she's born, the shark's cold, expressionless eyes are constantly on the watch for food. Mutagen 23 is certainly heating up the evolutionary arms race. This shark understands that she needs to eat essential minerals to stay healthy and grow. For more than 3/4 of geologic time, the land was uninhabited, without a single destination. If a T-Rex is your favorite dinosaur, then you're boring and unoriginal and you need to pick a different favorite dinosaur. The ocean is a source of life, inspiration, and eternal renewal, but mostly it exists to be exploited and commodified by humans. Quite a strange conglomeration of stuff will end up in the stomachs of sharks. Giant monsters, or kaiju, occasionally visit Port Clovis to pregame before destroying more worthwhile cities. bull shark is an animal of broad dietary proclivities. Sharks' propensity to clear the ocean of its assorted detritus is one of their most valuable functions. This rover is always swimming, searching for anything to satisfy the gluttony that is their defining trait. An insatiable fish, the bull shark is 9/10 appetite. The shark hears the faint, distant sound of an intercom. Some sharks are scavengers, indiscriminately consuming anything that's vaguely edible. The shark uses lipids from high-fat fare like this to help fuel her reign of terror. The bull shark is known to be a voracious, if hardly discriminating, eater. Anyone who has delved into the stomach contents of a shark is acutely aware that they'll eat just about anything. peace of the grotto enables the shark to approach the world with greater confidence and effectiveness. Hunger is a driving force for the bull shark. This mineral supplement would be necessary if this shark ate a more nutritious, well-balanced diet. Sometimes even sharks just need to dirty ball. The locals here know every nook and cranny of the swamp. to caviar Key's increased coastal exposure, storms that had a minor impact 3 decades ago caused significant flooding today. Bull sharks have a habit of gobbling up anything that finds its way into the water. Random mutations aren't random. They require large amounts of mutagens as a catalyst. This stealthy predator appears to be seeking food perpetually, stalking its prey day and night.
What was that?
After losing to King Crush in the 2011 Monster Mania semifinals, Big Finn stepped away from the limelight for a simpler, more natural way of life. Even for sharks, it's important to create personal time for sober self-reflection.